All right, so we'll just get started for the sake of time.
Okay.
So I'm Kinsey White. I'm a mental health advocate at NAMI Northern Illinois. Today we have Linda Nguyen from Resilience Counseling. Linda holds a master's degree in applied child and family studies from Northern Illinois University. She is a licensed marriage and family therapist and has 15 plus years experience working with children and families. She specializes in working with individuals, couples, and families using a holistic approach of connecting to the individual's unique internal narrative shaped by past experiences, relationships, society, culture, and the nervous system towards the path of healing. Other areas of expertise include attachment and trauma, depression, anxiety, adoption, neurodiversity, and PTSD. Linda believes that the journey of healing takes place when connecting, understanding, and balance is restored internally. So I will turn it over to Linda to kind of get into it.
Great, thank you. All right. So, can people see my screen? I'm gonna actually. And
Go ahead and reshare it. Linda, it was up.
okay. Uh, and there we go. So, welcome everyone. Thanks for the introduction, and I hope everybody is having a fairly good day today. Kind of cloudy, but hopefully spring will come for us soon. So, I am going to present about the autonomic nervous system today and um, try and really get a grasp of all the states of the nervous system and identifying the states, being aware. So that is how I see things is through being able to be aware, identify, so then you are able to kind of work on that sense of regulation piece. So the topics that I'll be talking about today is, like I said in the beginning, identifying the nervous system states, having an awareness of the shifts within our states, and how the nervous system really affects our overall well-being on a daily basis. It's always working for us, and um, it's something that I think would be really helpful and beneficial for us to really know more about it, um, and how it affects overall states of well-being, brain, body, mood, relationships. And near the end, I want to kind of hone it all together and just um, talk about some different ways to learn and practice affect regulation to influence ventral vagal pathway. And I'll talk more about the vagal ventral pathway in a few minutes. And I'll definitely end 10 minutes early to field questions as well. One of the things that I went within my practice when I started working early on was trying to kind of get a hold of what fully what we are as people and as human beings and how we function. And I did trainings, and there's a training that talked about the nervous system, and I didn't want to study into too much, but I got curious about it later on, and so I looked up the polyvagal theory. It was developed by Stephen Porges in 1994. He really talks a great deal about the role of the autonomic nervous system and how it really just regulates our overall health and behavior, really pays attention to our well-being. The earlier models within research did not identify the state that he identified as the dorsal state, which is the pre-state. He also really made the terms of co-regulation, neuroception, which is very important. We're talking about being able to, connect within this world with people, with each other, and within relationships, and how important it is that that our nervous systems are in a state of being able to be open and receptive to connecting with others and people. And part of the autonomic nervous system is that it's definitely something that underlies our physiological and psychological states, and it really is functioning, every second, every minute of our daily lives to really keep us safe, basically. And it's wanting the whole purpose is wanting to keep us safe. So there is within the human experience, he really talks about is that need for safety, co-regulation, and connection, and that's why it's so important to access that vagal ventral pathway, which I'll talk about next. So within the autonomic nervous system states, there's the parasympathetic and sympathetic. And within the parasympathetic is the ventral-vagal pathway, which is the pathway which nurtures connection, openness, allows us to feel that sense of safety and going forward, to being able to say, I am going to take on the world, or I'm going to connect to others and connect to people. The dorsal vagal pathway is within the parasympathetic. It's more of the, if you're feeling unsafe, you're in that dorsal vagal, which is ventral vagal. There's a feeling of safety. When the nervous system has a sense of connection to feeling unsafe, there's the dorsal vagal pathway, which is also in part of it is the free state. And there's a sympathetic, which I think many people are more familiar with, is the fight or flight, where you're in a more mobilized, ready to ready to fight or ready to flee, because there's a sense of threat or a sense of danger. And within each state, there's a way it affects our sense of brain, body, mood, and our functioning within relationships. So when you're in the ventral vagal pathway, your brain is in a state where you're ready to learn, you're focused, you're attentive, you have access to logic and reasoning, your body is feeling that sense of felt safety, you're in a sense of energy that you want to engage, and your mood is quite open, you're calm, you have a sense of balance and confidence. And when you're in relationship to other people and exposed to other people, you're ready to engage and you're ready to connect. If you shift into a dorsal vagal pathway, you're feeling unsafe. Your brain is feeling that sense of inattentiveness. It's kind of foggy. Your body is having that sense of laden and lacks energy, and there could be some rigidness to a sense of dissociation. Your moods could be affected where you could feel depressed. Many people describe when they're in a dorsal vagal state is like, I kind of feel in a funk. You just kind of lack motivation. You don't want to do much. And within relationships, how it affects within relationships when you're in that dorsal vagal pathways that often you feel more distant. You want to distance yourself. You want to be more in isolation. And within the sympathetic fight or flight, your brain, body, mood is within relationships you can feel and look a little different too. Is that there's your brain, which feels more, instead of feeling clear with clarity, you're feeling distracted, kind of scattered, even hyper focused. You're feeling very alert. And a lot of times you're in a different part of the brain where you have little access to logic or reasoning, and your body's feeling very heightened and tense, like there's adrenaline being pumped into your system, ready to avoid that threat that is sensed. Or you can even feel a sense of restlessness. Your moods could be like, your mood could be shifty, feel unsettled, which, when you're feeling that way in relationships, it's very hard to connect, because you're in that state where you're more self-focused, wanting to, to avoid the threat. So you're not able to be open to another person's experience. And keep in mind that we're not meant to stay in these states for too long, because you want to have a sense of variation in being able to shift into states and not feel stuck. And I'll talk later about that sense of healthy nervous system functioning versus not so healthy. So going into more of the description of ventral vagal versus dorsal vagal, within the ventral vagal pathway, we have you feel optimal energy. With the dorsal, it's lack of energy. You're in a space with the ventral vagal where you can shift from to feel rested and restored. You have a sense of more of that sense of self-control, and that feeling of regulation, which is balance, steadiness, centered, stability. You have peace, clarity, that sense of curiosity. You want to engage with people. You want to connect when you're in ventral vagal, because you feel safe. You feel that sense of openness to. There's no threat, and like I said before, some of the feelings, emotions associated with patience, kindness, curiosity. With dorsal vagal, that's just like the sympathetic fight or flight, that survival mode. It's a different sense of shifting to survival mode is dorsal vagal, where it's more of you're not mobilized to do anything. There's a lack of energy. You're feeling a sense of shutdown. Some also a sense of dissociation can come in, just to that sense of protection. The feelings associated you could feel numb, depressed, loneliness. And next, I'm going to go into the sympathetic nervous system, where instead of being immobilized, you're mobilized, ready to fight or flight, just like seeing a bear. I have a picture of a bear. I think it's a beautiful bear, but if you were just walking in the forest, enjoying, a little hike, and a bear, you see a bear, there's this sense of your nervous system, because it wants to keep you safe. There's a threat now, so it's going to kick in, pump your body full of adrenaline to hopefully flee. You don't want to fight a bear, but you're hyper aroused, you're you have a lot of energy within your body, physically your body, your heart rate your heart is pumping fast, your muscle tone is tense, ready to um to flee. And so some of the feelings associated with being in this state is rage, panic, fear. So I'm going to show you a video I'm not going to show you the whole video, but about 5 minutes, 5 to 6 minutes into it, just because it explains the theory in a simple manner, which I think is helpful. And sorry for the ads. I don't have an account with YouTube, but I will skip it and see it all run smoothly.
Is there supposed to be sound with it, Linda?
Yes.
Because it's not playing the sound.
No, really? Okay. Oh, is it playing now?
No.
No, it's not.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Let me see. Well, well, it's not working. I can skip it. What some of the let me forward into another slide. So yeah, sorry about that. Hopefully I can figure that out later. But some of the things that it brings up that I haven't brought up before, and I wanted to kind of get a visual of it too, as well, is that there's that sense of level system within the autonomic nervous system where um when there's a sense of threat, or you're feeling a sense of not feeling safe, and or there's many stressors going on, or there's a maybe that you've experienced a specific trauma. There are states that you shift into in order to have it's always to protect and have a sense of overall. Your nervous system is always is going to be aware of your safety, so it will shift into a certain state. And a lot of times the shift is you're maybe in regulation and in the ventral vagal, and then you shift to the sympathetic, and you're not, like I said before, you're not we're not meant to stay in these states so long. So then if you're staying one state too long, you like a sympathetic fight or flight, your body can't handle that, and can shift to dorsal vagal, where you're feeling shut down. And what that explains in the video too is that when I had that slide with a bear, right? There's a sense of you're that fight or flight, right? You may run and flee, but you don't get away. And in times of, like with animals, there's that sense of freeze state where animals will just drop and play dead, right? there's that. So there, that sense of freeze in ourselves is that last stage of I can't do more. I don't have anything left feeling when you're experiencing certain things in life. The other thing it brings up in the video is the ventral vagal brake, or that shift that I was talking about, where we should be moving more fluidly. The brake is not doing that. So, and that could be affected by, I'll talk later about experiences of trauma, experiences of just daily stressors, that's chronic stress that can lead to that sense of brake not functioning as well. So that's what some of the things that the video brought up. But so I'll move on to the next terms that Dr. Stephen Porges he introduced within the polyvagal system is neuroception and interoception within the autonomic nervous system. It's like I said, it's always on to make sure we are safe and feeling safe. So it's like with neuroceptions, it's that sense of there's this built-in surveillance system where there's a subconscious awareness that, because we're not sensing these things, it's not conscious to detect safety and threat. So our nervous systems are constantly sensing the environment, the people, situations, and always ready to react even before we're aware of it. Interoception is the awareness of our physical state a lot of times, in our internal signals of hunger, thirst, heart rate. It's very attuned to our body's internal cues or signals, and it recognizes and responds to our needs, our overall well-being. And some of the things that it will, pay attention to, especially within our gut health, it's one of the things that it really affected within stress. And a lot of people have read studies about is our gut, and part of that interoception nervous system pathway is our gut is in the center of it all. The other very important term that he really identified is co-regulation, and it's our natural and subconscious way that we send signals to each other, like the energy of each other, expressing, that sense of safety, like I welcome you to danger. And that could be a person, not very, that's not safe in your life. Or if you first meet someone, there's that sense of your nervous system being aware of whether this person feels safe to you. So that's always going on. So it's our social engagement system. It senses and observes facial expressions, head movement, vocal intonations, and it's something that I'll show in a second with the video, and hopefully this video works, or else I can just explain it as well. But growing, like within our upbringing and growing up, there's that sense of attachment to an attachment figure, our parents or caregivers, and co-regulation happens within a child and a parent, a caregiver, to tell that child whether this world, you're experiencing this world in a safe way or an unsafe way. So Uh, a lot of our intimate relationships and how we connect within the future is affected within our experiences early in life. So if intimacy and connection was unsafe as a child, this affects intimate relationships in the future, where connection or closeness can feel dysregulating if you experience a sense of unsafety within your upbringing or experiences in your past. So there was this experiment by Dr. Edward Tronick, and not sure if this video will work, but I can try it. And maybe, let's see.
The sound's still not working, Linda, on
Okay.
this end.
All right. Huh. I'll have to look that up later. So I
Can
don't know.
you share the sound like through your computer? That's what somebody had said on there.
Okay. Let me try.
Sorry, I don't normally run these, so I'm not really sure how to do it either. Somebody said it should be, let me see. In like the settings.
Settings.
Mhm.
Okay. I apologize. Give me a minute so I can see if I can find that. Then
Somebody said go to audio settings through Zoom.
audio settings.
I appreciate all the help from everybody
Yes, thank you.
because I have no idea.
Baby starts pointing at different places in the world, and the mother's trying to engage her and play with her. They're working to.
Are you able to hear it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you. Let me, oh, sorry.
Babies this young are extremely responsive to the emotions and the reactivity and the social interaction that they get from the world around them. This is something that we started studying 30, 40 years ago, when people didn't think that infants could engage in social interaction. In the still face experiment, what the mother did was she sits down and she's playing with her baby, who's about a year of age.
I'm like a girl. Oh.
And she gives a greeting to the baby gives a greeting back to her.
Yeah.
This baby starts pointing at different places in the world, and the mother's trying to engage her and play with her. They're working to coordinate their emotions and their intentions, what they want to do in the world. And that's really what the baby is used to. And then we ask the mother to not respond to the baby. The baby very quickly picks up on this, and then she uses all of her abilities to try and get the mother back. She smiles at the mother. She points because she's used to the mother looking where she points. The baby puts both hands up in front of her and says, "What's happening here?" She makes that screechy sound at the mother, like, "Come on, why aren't we doing this?" Even in this 2 minutes, when they don't get the normal reaction, They react with negative emotions. They turn away. They feel the stress of it. They actually may lose control of their posture because of the stress that they're experiencing.
Okay. I'm here. And what are you doing? Oh, yes. Oh, what a big girl.
It's a little like the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good is that normal stuff that goes on, that we all do with our kids. The bad is when something bad happens, but the infant can overcome it. After all, when you stop the still face, the mother and the baby start to play again. The ugly is when you don't give the child any chance to get back to the good. There's no reparation, and they're stuck in that really ugly situation.
Yeah, so not sure if anybody it's a pretty, I'm sure people have heard of the still face experiment, and that video is, that part was, you can really see the baby's face, and it's always heartbreaking to see the response and reaction. And when I talked about the going back to that sense of co-regulation and the connection and closeness, feel you either feel in regulation or dysregulation. Your upbringing, different things that have happened in your life within relationships, not just even caregiver relationships, but even intimate relationships in general can steer that sense of what connection and closeness feels like, and how that activates certain states within the nervous system. So, so let's move on to a healthy autonomic function, and what is healthy and what is not as healthy. And within our autonomic nervous state, and I talked and identified some of the states before, is that when we're shifting into these states, that sense of healthy functioning is we're moving more fluidly from one state to another, and you're able to, you're doing things, you're being active, and you're able to then shift to this sense of resting state. And there's also within his theory that we need all of these states, and if it's balanced and blended within states in the way that he terms a hybrid state, is that we may be blending our ventral vagal to our dorsal state. We're feeling rested and settled, and regulated. And so and when we're blending ventral vagal pathway to our sympathetic, it's that sense of feeling like I have energy, I want to go and do things, and I want to, and when it's functioning healthily, where we have energy to engage in, and going out and connecting with other people, or going out and being active, playing with their kids, when you're functioning in a sense of healthiness, and then there's blending of two states, and also it's that sense of being flexible and fluid, like as we're moving through the states, not getting stuck in any state for a long time. So healthy functioning also allows for resiliency and ability to manage our daily stressors well. So because we're always going through things, right? So if you're in a healthy sense of functioning within our nervous system, you have more of that sense of resiliency towards daily stressors, that we're able to bounce back and move on. And within healthy functioning of nervous system, the nervous system is able to keep attention on what keeps us healthy and happy. So a not so healthy or not as functioning nervous system is like I said before, you get stuck in states of survival. Many things can feel threatening when it may not be a sense of threat there. So it feels like a sense of faulty system where that surveillance system inside is unfortunately constantly signaling danger, and so you're feeling it all inside in your body, your brain, within your sense of whole being. So, like we talked about with the sympathetic, if you're constantly being pumped with adrenaline when your nervous system is feeling a threat but not, that can really affect you. It can be debilitating because you're you're functioning in your daily life. But if you're feeling, a sense of adrenaline being pumped in, how hard it is for you to have a sense of feeling rested and settled, in different things that you're engaging in life, which then could lead to, maladaptive ways to want to seek that sense of regulation, and that could be different, different patterns of seeking that sense of regulation that you may not know that is becoming, healthy, but you obviously our whole sense of body and mind, we want to move towards central vagal feeling of safety, feeling of regulation, feeling of balance and steadiness. But so if you're not accessing that as much, many people want to access it in different ways, and that lead to maladaptive ways of behavior, or even seeking like that sense of dopamine or within different things in your life. It also, if you're in a state for a long time and you're not shifting, it could really affect your physical health as well, because you're, if you're always feeling dysregulation or you're feeling shut down, it affects your physical health in the sense of what Stephen Porges talks about. It could, many autoimmune diseases or diseases that, when people are going to doctors that are not as treatable, or they don't know how to treat as well, as that could be led to that state of your nervous system state, always being in a survival state, which how that affects our physical health. It affects, mentally, emotional, or health as well, where, if you stay in that dorsal vagal state for a long period of time, that can lead to that feeling of being in a clinically depressed state, or clinical anxiety if you're in a sympathetic state and can't shift for a long time. So talk about trauma's effect on the nervous system. So, types of trauma, we have shock trauma, development, relational trauma, which I kind of alluded to a little bit within the co-regulation piece. If you had different experiences in your past or upbringing, it could really affect how you feel when you're in that close or intimate relationships, and how you relate to other people. There's chronic toxic stress, childhood medical procedures, where your sense of nervous system feels that trauma from a medical procedure. Diverse community environments ongoing that could affect your how your experience overall and your response to that event. And your nervous system is taking this all in, absorbing it, and trying its best to respond to those experiences that have happened, and what happens from there. Then you can imagine the nervous system feeling that sense of when if you experience some sense of trauma, then it kind of stores some of that within your nervous system as well. Many studies these days talk about epigenetics and how trauma can be passed down 3 generations, and there's the studies, new studies talking about how within that there's our functioning of our nervous system, our automatic nervous system, and how some of that can be passed down as well. I think that relational trauma, I talked about that chronic states of stress, disrupt co-regulation, where the need for connection, which all of us need, becomes instead that need for protection. You experience more negative relationships within your life. Then I talked about how where if you have a healthy functioning of your nervous system, it's fluid, it's flowing. If there's been trauma, the trauma is your internals experience in response to the event. Is that what your response to it then causes that sense of nervous system to be on high alert, and so it's not experience a sense of fluidity and flowing, and the navigation within your nervous system becomes more, I would say, just stuck, where it becomes more rigid, not as flexible. So pulling it all together, and how to retune or our autonomic nervous system, bring more experience and opportunities to shift into ventral vagal pathway is, I talked about how all the nervous system states, being able to identify and being aware of where you're at as far as what you're feeling within the brain, your body, and identifying that, you're able to then bring in and learn and practice some different ways to really activate that sense of ventral vagal pathway. And part of it really relies, a big part of it relies on co-regulation and attuning to safety within other relationships. Really building that sense of network and connection to people that you feel are safe, attuned, and present, and that's something that can help, like people who maybe have experienced different traumas in relationships, if they are able to connect to people who are safe, attuned, and present, and are able to connect and felt safety, it's your nervous system is then experiencing more of what safety feels like within a relationship. So that's very important. Vagus nerve stimulation, there's many things out there if you look it up, but some of the different things that I think people are not as aware of is how much our nervous system, is always in doing something for us, and it has within our sensory system is more than the 5 senses, but it's taking in a lot. So some of that is our identifying our sensory needs, right? So sometimes if you're wanting that sense of vagus nerve stimulation, you can you feel the effects of splashing cold water on, yourself. You wake up, you're splashing cold water on yourself. You're feeling that sense of shift. Gargling water. It's a sense of that connection to your vocal cords, your connection to your gut. It's allowing your breath to come out. It's then stimulating your sensitive vagus nerve and allowing shift into the ventral pathway. The senses, that's like kind of our sense of attunement to sensing the world. And a lot of times the sense of taste and smell and touch, those things are really important to ground and have a sense of tuning into our needs and coming back into that sense of regulation and feeling of safety and stability. And so if you like experiment with different spices, different smells, you can be surprised as to how some spices like cinnamon, for example, has that sense of calming. If you pop like a sour candy in your mouth, and you notice like a waking up kind of experience. So much of it is just kind of really noticing how different smells, different spice, different tastes affects you, how you react to it. Pressure points, like acupressure points, or if anybody's heard of tapping, it's when you're identifying yourself at a certain state, like a dysregulated state where you're in sympathetic. There's ways to give your sense of pressure and pressure points, where there's the butterfly self hugs, where you're doing bilateral movement to help calm, to help that sense of feeling that closed in and safety. And there's there's things that we probably do that we don't know that's really helping to attune into regulation and safety, stability, and balance is connecting to nature. Playing is such a important experience, even for adults, because part of playing is feeling present in the moment, surrendering to the moment, right? And you're laughing, which is a very good way to stimulate that the ventral vagal pathway. Everybody's experienced that really gut laughter, and you're tearing up, and notice how you're feeling when you're in that state. Feels very freeing. It feels really good. Dancing, singing. Part of singing is the breath work that you're doing as you're singing, that you don't even know that you're doing. And even certain songs, I think, it definitely gives you a certain feeling. It connects you to a certain feeling or emotion. Helping others, it's that sense of co-regulation. When you're helping others, you're feeling that person's energy of presence and appreciation, and that sense of connection that person is really, really in need of you, and you're able to provide them a sense of doing something for them that would help them. Yoga and meditation, exercise, stretching, those are all great things. Breath work. There's a simple kind of breath work pattern that helps to stimulate the vagus nerve, and that's inhaling 2 deep inhales and keeping your exhale out as long as possible. If you want to try that now, 2 deep inhales. One more exhale. Almost as if you're gonna pass, not pass out, but you're exhaling as long as you can. You can feel, then you can notice your sense of nervous system settling, feeling more relaxed and calm. So those are some ways to kind of retune your nervous system, but also just bring that sense of regulation within your life, and on a daily basis. I tell people a lot when I'm working with them, it's that sense of, we're doing in the morning, we have our hygiene routines, or our routines, our rituals, our rhythm that gives us regulation, right? So in the morning, you're showering, brushing your teeth, you're getting yourself ready. I think it's important to also have your mental, emotional, nervous system hygiene. It's that having these things that work for you, noticing what works for you, and incorporating it in your daily life as much as possible. All right, that is the end of it. And these are some of the resources that you can get some more resources and practices, and things that you can learn to have that sense of activation of your ventral vagal pathway.
Well, thank you so much, Linda. Does anybody have any questions? I haven't seen any pop up. I'll give a few minutes maybe.
Yep.
Well, if nobody has any questions, thank you, Linda, for your time.
No problem.
There are some thank
Thank
yous
you,
in the chat.
everyone.
All right, well, I'll give
Have
you
a good
guys
day.
back some 7 minutes.
All right, thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.